Let me say that, Emmanuel, first, I'm very thankful to be on this show. It's been great to talk to Kenyans once again. I have been quiet because I wanted Kenyans to observe the arena. I wanted to see whether Kenyans have really understood what happened last year. Beginning of last year, we predicted a revolution, and it happened. I wanted Kenyans to, whether they have really understood what happened. And judging by the political players that are going on, they have not understood. In fact, they've gone back to the way it was before the revolution, in many instances. They have not understood. And now is the time we're going to come out. We are now coming to a year since the revolution. We have a budget that's coming. We are going to make sure that Kenyans understand that this is a period for the economic justice. This is a period for that revolution, no other. And yes, we are going to be very active. We are going to be very vocal. We are going to be very proactive. Emmanuel, don't doubt it. So proactive, I'm sure he will raid us 1,000,000 times. He will hurt us 1,000,000, try and hurt us 1,000,000 times. Because we are going to agitate where it hurts. Where it hurts. Just so that we make sure that every Kenyan understands this is their time for economic emancipation. You have this one chance, and we're trying to make sure that we bring this election next year, not 2027. How? Oh, you watch. Just watch. And once it happens, people should know why they're going to that ballot. It is for the economic emancipation, the economic justice. And they must understand what we're getting rid of. And we're getting rid of a system embedded from 1920, perpetuated by neo-colonialists, by our African mubeberu, that we must remove, we must change, so that Kenya is a great nation. And I want to tell Kenyans, I am very hopeful for the future of Kenya, contrary to what others are seeing doom. Abana, hii tutatoa. The doomsayers, the people who perpetuate our misery, they are going. The future is phenomenal for this country and this continent. Just hang in there. This pain is just a little more. I'm telling you, the future that will come, you will not even believe it yourselves. Asanteni sana.
Naambia wananchi, uchaguzi tutafanya, but we need some people like Jimmy Njigi kwenye table wa kusungumuza kwa niaba ya taifa la Kenya. Kenya hatuwezi songa kama kuna watu ambao wanajua mambo ya economic. Yes. Lakini kama tuko na watu ambao wanajua tu tumbo zao. Kenya tunataka viongozi kama Jimmy Njigi. Watu ambao wanajua kwamba Kenya inafaa kusongeshwa mbele. Ukisikiza Mheshimiwa Jimmy Njigi amekuwa katika hizi serikali zote, lakini kwa sababu anataka maisha bora, hata Kenya ilifanyika akakosana William Ruto na Uhuru Kenyatta, ni agreement ya kwamba walikuwa wanataka kutransform Kenya ikuwa kama Singapore, Australia, lakini kwa sababu hao waliingia wakajaza tumbo zao, wanataka kutafuta utajiri, watasana Kenyatta, watasana Odinga family, watasana Moi family. The end of the game tukapoteza. Tunataka Jimmy Njigi akuja katika kwenye bunge la wananchi. Tunataka Jimmy Njigi asunguke Kenya zote, atuambie mambo ya economic revolution. Jinsi tutatransform Kenya kutoka kwenye maskini tuende kama nje ya Singapore. Tutoka maskini tuende kama nje ya Australia. So we need to focus, we as young men and young women. Tuache kudanganywa bana. Tunataka Jimmy Njigi. Wewe ukiambia Jimmy Njigi ni Mkikuyu, endelea kutaja Mkikuyu. But at the end of the day, ule gavana wako Mjaluo anafanya kazi. Ule gavana wako Muluya anafanya kazi. Ule gavana wako Oria anafanya kazi. Ule gavana wako Mkalenjin anafanya kazi. We need Jimmy Njigi 2027 katika kwenye uchaguzi wa Kenya. Na sisi tuko tayari kutembea Jimmy mali popote. Kwa sababu Jimmy anasungumuza tatizo la Mkenya. Jimmy hana njaa ya kuja kuibia. So tunataka kuambia Jimmy Njigi, shuka katika kwenye bunge zote ya Nairobi. Shuka katika kwenye bunge zote ya wananchi. Kuja tutembea na wewe, utuambie unataka nini. Iwapo unataka usimama umeruhusiwa, katiba imekuruhusu. Kama unataka president umeruhusiwa. Ukitaka deputy umeruhusiwa. Ukitaka governor umeruhusiwa. Ukitaka minister umeruhusiwa. Tunataka Jimmy Njigi akuja katika kwenye bunge la wananchi, tutembee kama wananchi. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki.
Yeah. I don't think I was brought here for myself. No. I don't even think I was just brought here for my family. It's a big part But not just that. So you've got to start living God's purpose for you.
Yeah.
Right? For his glory. And what does that mean? It can't be you. You had a purpose when he put you here.
Oh my God.
So you must fulfill that purpose.
Mr. Jimmy, do you have a son? Because wow.
You must fulfill that purpose. So at my age, I'm now 62. You look at how much more time do I have? Because I would like to go peacefully like my father did. He felt he lived God's purpose. So how much time do I have? I can't think about me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't even have time to decompress?
I don't know what that means to
He
me.
was raised so well.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Right?
So you'll be on the ballot.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you think you'll win?
Absolutely.
How?
Absolutely.
How?
What do you mean how? What is the issue at hand?
You are not in a camp.
Oh, I have to be in a camp.
You
Yeah,
should be-
I believe.
I've looked at the camps. There's one that is where the president is, the former prime minister, and the other guys who were in the opposition. And on the other side, we have Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa. I've never seen you there.
Okay,
Do you think you'll win without being
what are
in a
those
camp?
camps? Yes, absolutely. What are those camps about?
They are uniting to
No,
they are bringing their numbers on the table.
what are their numbers?
Okay. In
What
2022,
are their numbers? In relation to what?
They estimated
No, they are bringing what numbers?
their votes.
Which are their votes?
They estimated to have about 10 million votes.
No,
in
on what
2027.
basis? On what basis?
On their regions.
That's the magic word. Regions.
It has always worked.
Okay, now, there's something fundamental that happened last year. Genz did a revolution in this country that was beyond regions. They united on something very different. I did not vote. So I was in those 8 million. So when you say which numbers?
You never
Which
voted
numbers
in
are you? No, I did
2022?
not vote. I did not vote. I kept saying whichever vote you put, it is the same virus that we implanted in 2013. Because one was Ruto, who was the deputy in 2013. The other was backed by Uhuru, who was in 2013. Because Raila was being backed by Uhuru. It is a continuation, a mutation of the same virus. We are going to see no change. And we are not wrong. Today, have you seen change?
What I saw of my friend Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto I got to meet in 2006.
Okay.
But Uhuru Kenyatta, we didn't grow up like that.
Okay.
What
It
I
was
saw him
different.
in power, no, that's not how we grew up.
You were like, who's this? This
That is
my
not even
friend.
how his father was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think power changed him? Or
He got captured by very many things.
You want to be
I want to
captured by
fall
the-
short of saying that I overestimated his capacity.
Okay.
All right? Yeah.
You thought he was going to be
I
a man
think-
of his word.
Not only his word, that he actually had some ideology that was beyond himself. We did not grow up like that, Frank. We didn't.
So you
So
blame
I
it
can
on
assure you,
integrity?
don't blame the schooling. I grew up different. Okay?
Okay.
We grew up different. We saw life different.
Yeah.
And then
And you've seen
my
different
life
things.
has not been in politics. It's been in business.
Yes.
So I understand the value of people having money.
Okay.
Because that is my market.
So ukomboka sasa.
Yeah. Mkiwa na pesa, I can sell you this jacket.
So,
Itakuwa vizuri.
So we want an empowered population.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Mzungu has this, let me say it's planned poverty. I like to call it planned poverty. Because it's about governing people. Okay? You keep 60% of the people hungry. They're busy looking for food every day, so they don't think about you.
Yeah.
All right? Then you have 30% that you so-called call the middle class. In this country, it is anybody between wages of 25,000 shillings to 20,000 shillings. That's the middle class here, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
wow.
Not much.
20,000 shillings.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
25,000 to 200,000.
200,000.
And then you keep 10% who are the rich, of which really 1% are the ones controlling. Because when you're thinking about food, you have little time to think about what's happening up.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about private school for your kid and a salary away from poverty, you have little time to think
Yeah.
about the top.
Yeah.
And the top are very comfortable with status quo because you're creating the wealth under which they eat and govern you. All right? Now, that is what we sought to change. And I am very ideological about this. We had gone through what you call our political revolution, right? We had multipartism, we had free press, we had all those things, and it was embedded in the 2010 constitution. Unlike Uganda, has a very good constitution, I must say, by the way, but it is never going to be actualized.
Yes, it's never.
Because Museveni came in with a gun.
Yes.
He didn't come through the ballot. So that will be he'll always go back to the gun.
Yeah.
Now, here, we have gone through such serious reforms that there are laws embedded and there are structures and institutions. The courts are supposed to be independent, right? And even if Teresa once in a while, they eventually get back to where they should be. So we have that freedom politically. We also have a very educated community.
Yes, you do.
Mwai Kibaki, that was one thing I must praise him for. His free primary education just created a whole different template for Kenyans. So we are more aware. Here, to switch off the internet, like you see, correct. Jaribu ujinga.
Yeah.
Okay, here people won't take it.
Yeah.
And there are so many institutions that depend on it.
Yeah.
In Uganda, you don't have a
You
choice.
guys don't have a choice.
We don't have a
You
choice.
just sit.
Yeah.
Here, people go wild.
Yeah.
Okay, and institutions start falling.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't do it. Ruto tried it with Genz. He couldn't even get Safaricom and all to do it. They had to go, because they are shareholders of Seacom,
Yeah.
to actually go to that to say temporary.
Do they not see the benefits even to themselves of a huge economy?
CT, that's a fantastic question. And with it, because we started on this show, primarily talking about civic education, I want us to go backwards. Because Ruto is just but a symptom of something that started here in 1887. When a company called Royal East Africa Company came to Kenya from India.
Royal British.
No,
not IB.
Royal East Africa Company first.
Yes.
And then in 1902, you had IB, Imperial British East Africa
Company. Yes.
This company came after the so-called Scramble for Africa conference in Bismarck did in what was called Prussia at the time. Now, what was its motive? It came here to extract resources, to exploit the people.
And they didn't pretend about it.
Right? And to dominate. They did not pretend. It was a private company coming here for profit. In 1902, when it changed to Imperial British East Africa,
Yes.
Kenya became a protectorate. Correct?
Yes.
And as a protectorate, the British government was sort of saying, we are now coming in. That company, you talk about IBEA, now became the governance of Kenya. So this is a private company here to make profits, right? Who became the civil servants? Those people who are here to extract, exploit, and dominate. Who became the policemen to dominate? They are watchmen who are there to protect the master's property and the master's exploitation and extraction. In 1920, it was formalized in full. That has been the model of Kenya. But remember, even as they were so-called extracting and exploiting, they were always bankrupt. They kept being bailed out. Why does that sound dissimilar to what we are doing today?
And who kept bailing them out?
The British government.
Yes.
And then they tried to bring taxation. All right? And they started with the hard tax and many other taxes. And that model continued in independent Kenya, where today you get to power with your 10 friends and you decide you're going to exploit, you're going to extract, and you're going to dominate. Do when you don't listen, askari wanatumwa kwako. Those are the watchmen. They don't even appreciate that you're the one who pays their salary from your taxes. your taxes keep getting increased and your debt burden continues. That model has never, ever changed. Never. It's now been 100 years plus since 1920.
And tonight, one of the big questions out there is the source of your wealth, which is why we are asking these questions. And from the conversation we've had so far, the last time you did something sort of private was garbage collection. The rest of your money coming from government projects?
Government projects inside and outside Kenya. Inside and outside Kenya. I'm an agent of various companies. And development projects are the biggest projects in Africa, even in Kenya. Government today is 70% of the economy of this country. Who would not want to do business? Who have an inclination to touching business with government? If you're a businessman, you would. But not just here. Many other countries on this continent. Let me tell you this. Let me state on record.
Yes.
That we, all the way back in about the year 2000, were the ones that initiated what you saw as the Chinese money coming into Africa. I had some very good friends in China, and I visited China, and they were interested in expanding into Africa. Now, before that time, the British, for example, used to give us a loan, and they would tell us, for that loan, to build a road, we can only afford to spend so much amount of money for 40 kilometers. It must be our British company.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Okay? And their prices were very high.
Yes.
And they would say, that's all we are doing. And the minister of Britain would come here with the president at the time, Moi, and they would flag off this road like it was a very big affair. They have done wonders for Africa, 40 kilometers. It was a big thing. It would be in the front pages of your newspapers. Then I brought the Chinese. And the first thing I said is that if you look around, it is those British companies, so-called European tied aid projects, that had no value for money. Or you had Kenyan cowboy contractors, right, who had been built over the years that were doing shoddy jobs. It was just a money-making scheme. Many of them, you'd see a road on a map, but when you go there, there's no road. But people have been paid. So we brought in the Chinese with soft money. They came in with 22-year money, 10 years grace, right, and lots of it. And they said, we are prepared to come here and do what is called a win-win formula. Because if Kenyans come up, right, they will still buy things from us. So if we lift Kenyans up and they build houses, they'll buy electrical elements, for example, from us. So our interest is win-win, okay? And I love the model. Their money was soft, but on top of that, for every 100 shillings, for example, a kilometer, they would charge, the British would charge for a road. These guys were coming in at 30 shillings. 30 shillings. And then for every 2 years, lead time, let's say the British tell you 2 years for a road, these guys would do it in 8 months. They would work 24 hours. So you got better value of your money. We were stretching our shilling, right? Even in the long term. So we brought them, the first project they did was this one of Uhuru Highway. All the way from the airport, Uhuru Highway to Gigiri. And that was a donation from the Chinese government to President Moi Kibaki. $150 million. All right?
Donation.
Donation, it was a grant. Just so that people can see what the Chinese contractors do. Right? And everyone was very shocked. Because where previously roads were this thick, the Chinese were doing 6 feet. Core. What is under this highway? Core, 6 feet. Some 8 feet. So it lasts for 10 years. Before that, were people experimenting on concrete roads. And so they did that and everybody said, these fellows are wonderful. So then we looked at the next project, which is the most densely populated road, and it was Thika Road. More than Mombasa Road.
Yes.
Okay? So the president said, that is the one I want. So it was packaged, right? It cost 32 billion at the time. But I can tell you, you can see what it did. It changed people's lives.
Now the key thing, mind.
Yes.
How it's going to
yes. Oh yes. You see, roads are a stimulus. During and after.
I'll tell you why. During, you're buying a lot of local material. You're buying sand, kogoto, sijui, tar, all these things, right? And you're using local labor, heavy labor. A lot of people work on roads. And you're also buying local steam, right? So you stimulate during. And as you stimulate, that money, right, is spent even by the workers. They go and buy more unga, they go and buy other things. It comes back into the economy in VAT and so on, higher. After you have closed markets. So before, if it took you to take your goods a whole day to go from one place to another, or let's say even 5-6 hours, now it took you 1 hour. You could do 2 trips in a day for your product, right? You can sell more. So you stimulate with roads during and after. Unlike railway. Railway is only a stimulus if you're carrying cargo for export. Otherwise, it is not a stimulus.
Which begs the question, railway, I also mentioned to you that my friend and I were debating, instead of the SGR, why not an expressway like this one from Nairobi to Mombasa?
Exactly. And that was my big argument with President Kenyatta. With President Uhuru. I'm the one who came up with the idea for SGR. And my big issue was my model is private. I have a simple private model. We started in 2008 with the same company, Chinese company called China Road and Bridge. We want to build this road with this railway from Mombasa to Nairobi and to Malaba, all the way to the border of Uganda. For 55 billion shillings. We did a whole study. Private. We did not want any revenue, tax revenue. Mwananchi should not be taxed for this project. All I wanted was an agreement with Kenya Railways for the wheeling, for the land. Then it was being run by a company called RVR, and it was a failure. Then we decided to make a government project. When they made it a government project, it shot up from 55 to 400 billion. Just from halfway. What was 1,000 kilometers at first became 500 kilometers, 400 billion. Mombasa to Nairobi. I said, This thing is a total failure. Why don't we do this, what you're suggesting, Daktari? Why don't we do the road? From Mombasa all the way to Malaba, we do like we did Thika Road. We changed the economy of Mswahili, because I can tell you Thika Road changed the economy of all the people who live in Mount Kenya that way. Land value, let me tell you, Daktari, before Thika Road was 500,000 maximum per acre. By the time it was built, 12 million. Munashika hiyo hesabu?
It made more millionaires.
Munashika hiyo hesabu? Hiyo those zeros you know. I can tell you today, it is very hard to get an acre for less than 40 million shillings.
Are you also saying?
Shika hiyo, if you have your 2 acres, you have 80 million. Before it was worth 1 million. So I was saying with Mombasa Road, we do the same thing. And you change the economy in Mswahili, Mtaita, Mkamba, Nairobi here, Masai. Okay, everybody, all the way mpaka Kisii and Luos at the border.
Okay.
Right?
Sawa.
Okay.
So you're saying the amount of money that was used to make the SGR would have been enough to bring a super highway from Mombasa to Malaba?
In fact, half. We had done the costing. SGR cost $3.8 billion. $3.8 billion, Mombasa to Nairobi.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Then they added another 2 from Syokimau to a place called Dukamoja. The railway to nowhere.
Yes.
Okay? Dukamoja. Aya. So you can see the cost. Now, ours, if we did the highway, expressway, 8 lanes, with lights, a 24-hour corridor.
Yes.
Right? With solar lights. Okay, computerized. Would have cost us at the time $2.2 billion.
We will get depressed over that. But kitu ingine tena, in our own
all
time.
The way to Malaba, So I want you to understand that now you would be saying, I want to go to Kisii. Kisii from here takes you almost a day. 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours. It would literally take you less than half that time to get there. Naivasha here would be 30 minutes away. So people would even ask themselves, why do I live in areas where I have so much traffic in Nairobi?
Yes.
Let me go to Naivasha, right? And I wake up every day to see Longodon. Wouldn't you want that? You're living in Naivasha, nice property that costs the same as a little property you're getting here. Even rent-wise, it will be cheaper. 30 minutes away, and you're waking up to fresh air, looking at Longonot. You have little antelopes running around you. See, you enjoy your own country. Kwani ni ya wazungu? It's not ya wazungu. This is our country.
Kenyans, tukubalianeni. We cannot allow ourselves kuwekelewa madeni as people enrich themselves and build generational wealth for their children, yet our children have nothing to inherit. We cannot allow that to happen. This country needs to be shut down for proper national debt audit, and it has to be done publicly. Na kila deni yenye imeshaichukuliwa ikuwe attached to the project it was supposed to do, and then we can see if that project was done ama hiyo pesa ilienda kwa mfuko za watu. According to Jimmy Wanjigi, some of the money that is borrowed for this country does not even go through the Central Bank of Kenya. It's just taken in some funny banks overseas, and it never lands in this country. That is why the Auditor General will be there. And yes, we have debt, but nobody has ever even seen the money. Hakuna mtu hata ashaisikia hiyo pesa ilifikanga ama ikufikanga. But the debt is there. So before atuongee kuhusu Finance Bill 2025, we need a proper national debt audit publicly.
Luchivia, labda hujui ni nani utapigia kura in 2027. Yes. Lakini ile kitu muhimu zaidi ni kwamba ujue yule mwenye hautapigia kura. Yes. Are we together? You may not know who you will vote for in 2027. Yes. But it is important to know who you will not vote for in 2027.
The best way for Kenyans to vote in 2027 is two ways. One, don't vote for anybody who did not deliver when it came to their manifesto. Number two, do not vote for anybody who had any previous corruption cases. For example, when it comes to Sakaja, the current Nairobi governor wants to run for a second term. Now, I will be damned if I vote for Sakaja considering just one part of the manifesto, which is roads. He said that he will fix roads and he will fix drainage and water will be distributed to different parts of Nairobi. He said this and he has not delivered. Nairobi to go 2025, we are almost at the half of the year and the roads are flooding insanely even if it rains just a little bit. So what logic would someone be using if they vote for Sakaja for the second time? What logic would somebody be using if they vote for Pasaris, who is definitely probably going to run again for Nairobi women rep, and she has not been proactive in talking about like femicide cases and protecting women, which is her job in parliament. If we just focus on those two things, not voting for anybody who had any corruption case and not voting for anybody who has messed up their manifesto, I feel like Kenyans would be really, really far. Instead of focusing on voting for somebody because of their tribe, because they paid you 200 shillings, because you are voting for them just so that they can remove somebody else and you hope that they are going to do something better, please, I think it's time that we remove ourselves from the situation. And also to the Kenyan youth, we are the majority. When you look at people who are 35 and under, we are the majority when it comes to the population. By 2027, let's say all of us will be adult status and all of us can get a voter's ID and actually vote. I am really, really, really encouraging people to register to vote when that time comes. Let's not vote for people because of any other reason except those two. Let's be logical this time, please. Like our lives depend on it.
Kwani wewe utakubali upige kura mtu aibe? Wewe kama Mkenya mwenye unateseka as we speak now, utakubali uende upige kura 2027 alafu mtu achukue aongeze rais? Kwa sababu anatuambia kwamba hakuna rais ashawahi kuwa one term president. Sasa wanasema hata kama rais hatapita, watachukua kidogo kidogo kutoka kwa zile zetu waongeze rais apite. Kwani wewe kama Mkenya who are going through a very difficult times as we speak now, are you going to allow people to steal your elections? Kwani tutakuwa wajinga aina gani? Tutakuwa wajinga aina gani turuhusu watu waibe kura zetu yenye tumepiga na venye sisi tunateseka saa hii? Atuwaibe waongeze yule mwingine apate aingie kama rais. Kwani sisi tutakuwa wajinga aina gani? Si wajinga walisha Kenya. Sasa itakuwa aje mtu atuibie kura zetu?
2027 at the tallying center at the ward level, we will have Gen Z representatives to count the votes and to announce the votes. alafu tutaungana kama Genz, kama ni Nairobi County, kuna Genz wa kule Githurai, Genz wa Kangemi, atatuambia ni ngapi na tutajua ni votes ngapi za rais zimepigwa katika Nairobi County, na tutafanya hivyo katika Kakamega County, tutafanya hivyo katika Bungoma County.
Haja na magavana, MCA, mnataka zile za rais peke yake.
Lazima rais ametuchosha bana, lazima akwende nyumbani.
One time. Sikiza nini? Ground. Atuongea. Sawa.
Hivi venye nanawa hivi. Ndo nanawa Ruto. Nimenawa Ruto kabisa. Nimenawa Ruto. Ruto Kasongo nimekunawa.
My people, unaingia kuiva alafu unaletewa one time kama chesa. Mulisema hamutaki kuchelewa in anything. Well, like Kenyans, you never disappoint, and this is the reason as to why I just love my country, Kenya. Munakuanga macho na munakuanga sete in anything. Anyway, Aluta, the struggle continues. We have to drain the swamps.
Ese yo moyo.
Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Ruto must go.
Enyewe Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. By the way, Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. Wash fire, Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. By the way, Ruto must go.